state security committees, which reported to Mr. Haroun, acting at the Darfur security desk. A few days ago, the office requested an additional warrant of arrest for then Minister of the Interior Abdel Rahim Mohamed Hussein, currently Minister of Defense. We are charging him with the same crimes that indicate the prosecutor versus Haroun and Kushib, thus expanding the number of suspects in the first case. Mr. Hussein was also, the evidence showed that Mr. Hussein was also involved in the crimes committed by his subordinate, Haroun. Between 2003 and 2005, Mr. Hussein was the Minister for the Interior and a special representative of the President in Darfur, with all the powers and responsibilities of the President. Mr. Hussein delegated some of his responsibility to his deputy, Mr. Haroun. But the evidence shows that directly and through Mr. Haroun, Mr. Hussein played a central role in coordinating the crimes, including in recruiting, mobilizing, funding, arming, training, and deploying the militias in Janjaweed as part of the government of Sudan forces, with the knowledge that these forces will commit crimes. In the second case, the office identified the responsibility of the President of Sudan, Mr. al-Bashir. He launched attacks against villages and publicly instructed his forces to take no prisoners nor wounded, but to leave behind only scorched earth. President Bashir's genocidal intentions were clear when he denied any assistance to entire groups forced out of their homes to inhospitable areas. They were condemned to die in the desert. The UN and others humanitarian assistance saved lives, but setting up the largest humanitarian operations in the world. President Bashir confirmed his genocidal intentions by ordering a different type of attack against those in the camps through rape and hunger. President Bashir appointed Ahmed Haroun, now as the Minister of State for Humanitarian Affairs, to be in charge of the victims he displaced. Haroun, since September 2005, obstructed humanitarian efforts each step of the way. The crimes of extermination and genocide under Article 6C do not require killing by bullets. They consist of intentionally inflicting conditions of life, as the deprivation of access to food and medicine, calculated to bring about the destruction of part of a population or a group. This was the conclusion of the Trial Chamber on 4 March 2009, when they issued an arrest warrant against President Bashir for war crimes and crimes against humanity, including the crimes of extermination and rape. Almost more than 1 year later, on 12 July 2010, Trial Chamber 1 issued a second arrest warrant for President al-Bashir for 3 counts of genocide, including rape as a form of genocide and genocide by deliberately inflicting conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction. In our third case, we are prosecuting 2 commanders of the rebel groups that attacked African Union peacekeepers in their base at Haskanita in September 2007. They killed 12 African Union peacekeepers, looted the entire base, and left thousands of people displaced in the area without protection. The 2 commanders charged, Mr. Abdallah Banda Abakar Nurain and Saleh Mohamed Jerbo Jamus, are members of the Zagagwa, one of the ethnic groups targeted by President Bashir's campaign. On 17 June 2010, they appeared voluntarily before the court, and both have committed to surrender to the court for trial. This trial should start during 2012. Interestingly, the rebel commanders accepted their actual participation in the attack, and are contesting only 3 specific issues at trial: whether the attack was unlawful, whether they knew it, and most importantly, whether the African Union mission in the Sudan was a peacekeeping mission in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations. If such issues are settled in favor of the prosecution, the accused person will plead guilty to the charges against them. These are the cases. We are still evaluating the responsibility of Mr. Abu Garda, the leader of the rebel attacks, against whom charges were not confirmed. These are the persons identified as the most responsible for the most serious crimes committed in Darfur over the last 6 years. In order to facilitate any decision of the Council, I want to state that there is no sealed arrest warrant requested or pending. There is no other case at this stage. Mr. President, my duty as a prosecutor is to galvanize efforts to implement the arrest warrant issued by the court. In accordance with Security Council Resolution 1593, the government of Sudan has the legal obligation to cooperate with the International Criminal Court. However, in 2007, after the issuance of the arrest warrant against Harun and Kushib, President Bashir publicly refused to implement them, challenged the Security Council authority, and stated that Harun had done what he had been ordered to do. In 2009, after the court issued an arrest warrant against him, President Bashir expelled humanitarian organizations that provide more than half of the total amount of aid delivered. He confirmed his criminal plans to exterminate those ethnic groups displaced. In addition, President Bashir blackmailed the international community by threatening to commit the same crimes in the south of the country, threatening the North-South peace process. President Bashir was trying to avoid isolation and campaigning at the African Union and elsewhere for political support. Muammar Gaddafi supported this campaign, and as the chairman of the African Union, at the last minute of the African Union summit in Sirte on 3rd July 2009, Muammar Gaddafi promoted the adoption of the following clause: in view of the fact that the request by the African Union for an Article 16 deferral had never been acted upon, the African Union member state shall not cooperate pursuant to the provision of Article 98 of the Rome Statute of the ICC relating to immunities for the arrest and surrender of President Omar al-Bashir of the Sudan. On 26th of May 2010, Pretrial Chamber 1 decided that the government of Sudan was not cooperating with the court in violation of Security Council Resolution 1593 and communicated this decision to the Security Council. Mr. President, cooperation is coming from other countries. On 28th of November, the High Court in Kenya implemented an arrest warrant in Kenya against President al-Bashir following the International Criminal Court decision. President Bashir retaliated diplomatically against the Kenyan decision and threatened economic and trade sanctions. Most importantly, recently Malawi, following the argument of the African Union resolution, as I quoted, refused to arrest President Bashir. However, on 12th of December, Pretrial Chamber Number 1 issued a decision pursuant Article 87.7 of the Rome Statute on the failure by the Republic of Malawi to comply with the cooperation request issued by the court with respect to the arrest and surrender of Omar Hassan al-Bashir. The Chamber found that customary international law creates an exception to head of state immunity when international courts seek a head of state arrest for the commission of international crimes. There is no conflict, therefore, between Malawi's obligation toward the court and its obligation under customary international law. Therefore, the Chamber concluded Article 98(1) of the statute does not apply. Further, the Chamber decided that Malawi had failed to comply with its obligations, to consult with the Chamber, and B, failed to cooperate with the court, failing to arrest and surrender President Bashir. Similar decision was taken a day later by the Arbitral Chamber in relation with Chad, and both decisions were informed to the State Security Council and the Assembly of State Parties. Mr. President, let me conclude. The arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court shall be implemented. The Security Council resolutions shall be respected. Millions of civilians in Darfur shall be protected. The individuals sought by the court are still allegedly committing genocide and crimes against humanity in Darfur. This is a case where the world knows where the fugitives of the court are, because they are in official positions, controlling the government of the Sudan, commanding military operations in different parts of the Sudan. Harun is the governor of South Kordofan, presenting himself as the man to solve the problems. The attempts to appease them, to reward them with money and recognitions are not working. Civilians in Darfur continue to be subject to indiscriminate aerial bombardment, despite numerous injunctions by this council that such bombardment cease. Likewise, the numerous injunctions by this council that the militia Janjaweed be disarmed have not resulted in their disarmament. It is very easy to produce a long list of false promises and refusals to abide by previous commitments. The execution of the arrest warrants will end the crimes. In the coming month, the court will decide on the arrest warrant requested against Minister of Defense Hussein. Such decision will provide a new opportunity to the Council to develop a strategy to implement Security Council Resolution 1593 and Presidential Statement 21. My next report on June 2012 could offer an opportunity to establish consensus on the way forward. The African Union and the Arab League should play a central role to achieve a solution that respects the Security Council authority and the judge's decision. The government of Sudan has to review its policy, has to receive a clear message and adjust to the world. People in Darfur need the Security Council leadership. Thank you very much.
I thank Prosecutor Moreno Ocampo for his briefing. I now give the floor to the representative of the Sudan.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السيد الرئيس، في مستهل بياني أود أن أثبت في سجل هذه الجلسة.
Firstly, like to state that the minutes of this meeting should record an important truth, if I may ask for that, vision to wit, that our participation in today's session in no way whatsoever
التي كما تعلمون أن السودان ليس طرفا فيها.
means dealing with the ICC, to which you are aware Sudan is not party.
وغير معنين بإجراءاتها مطلقا.
We are not at all involved in these proceedings.
وإن مشاركتنا اليوم أملتها علينا ضرورة توضيح الحقائق.
We are present here today because it is important to shed light on the truth, on reality.
بشأن الاتهامات الباطلة الواردة في التقرير